everybody. Today I am doing a post of a long overdue topic that I've been saying I would do for a long time, which is dating with lupus. So, it is crazy. So basically, what I want to talk about today is just what my struggle is, or what my struggle has been with dating with lupus. So what my struggle has been with dating with lupus. I know everybody is different. Everyone goes through different things. Everyone wears lupus differently because it affects their body differently. So I can only speak to what I go through, but hopefully somebody can relate to what I'm talking about. So the biggest part about it, I mean, dating in general is tough for everybody. You have to get to know someone, find out their likes and dislikes. You have to, they have to find you attractive. You have to find them attractive. You guys got to see if you have things in common. You could start dating someone and they could lose interest, or you could lose interest. I mean, there's so many ups and downs to dating. It could be great or it could be not so great. I mean, there's just so many things. So then add in the element of a autoimmune disease. It is a whirlwind. So especially with SLE lupus, which is what I have, you can't see that I have it. If I put on my regular clothes and go out, no one's gonna be like, oh, that girl has lupus. Like, you can't tell, you can't spot. 9 times out of 10, you can't spot someone with lupus. And even if they have even if they have the skin one or something that might tell you that they have like a rash or something, that they might have lupus, no one would really know that that's lupus, because no one really knows how to diagnose lupus except for the physicians. There's no like pronounced thing that says, oh, this person has lupus. Because even the skin type of lupus, if you see someone with it, unless you really know what that looks like, or someone who has it, it's really hard to tell. Someone could think that's a rash. Someone could think that's a birthmark. Someone could think that that's just their skin or eczema. It depends on how it looks on their skin, if it's all over, if it's in a portion of their skin. I mean, it is really hard to say, to look at someone and be like, oh, you have lupus. It's just really hard to do so. So if you are out here dating and you have lupus, one, unless you decide to tell that person, they're not gonna know. So that's already one. And then a lupus patient has to think, well, when do I decide to tell that person? Because if I meet somebody and we start vibing and talking, the conversation goes, okay, so how old are you? And how many siblings do you have? Where do you live? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? Do I just throw in there and, oh, by the way, I have lupus? That's random, right? So for me, it's always been a big thing. Like, when do I throw that in? When do I put that out there? Do I say it at all? Do I let them find out? When, how, when, where? Like, how does that happen, right? And then another thing is, if you're dating someone, let's say I start dating someone and we're going on our 3rd date, and I just happen to have a flare up and that lands me in the hospital. Do I say, hey, I can't go out because I have a cold, or my stomach's upset, or because I'm in the hospital? Because 9 times out of 10, if this is your 3rd date with someone, they're probably like, okay, I like this person, they're pretty cool. So if you say, like, I can't go on the date, you could just say, oh, I have an emergency. But people are nosy, and they might ask you what that emergency is. If you say I'm sick, they might say, oh, let me bring you some chicken noodle soup, or something like that. Prime example, I met a guy while I was dating, online dating, and we went on a couple dates. He seemed really sweet. Actually, we went on one date. He seemed really sweet, and we vibed on the date. Everything went great. And he's like, I would really love to see you again. So the 2nd date, I was in the hospital. Like, it was in a span of a week, and I had a flare up and I was in the hospital. And he's like, so we're planning our date. He's like, so where do you want to go? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I can't go. I'm sick. And he's like, oh, we can reschedule. I was like, well, because I wasn't sure when I was going to get out of the hospital. So I'm like, oh, well, I'll let you know, what I have is pretty bad. Like, I'm sick. I just left it really vague, like I'm sick. And he's like, well, do you want me to bring you anything? Do you need anything? Because we had already discussed on our date, like, I live here. Most of my family's, like, other places, right? So he's like, oh, maybe no one's there to help her. So does she need any soup? Does she need anything, right? So I'm like, no, I'm okay. And he's like, are you sure? Do you need anything? At that point, I'm in my head like, do I tell him the truth? Do I tell him I have lupus? Do I tell him? Like, it's really a process because you're like, all right, do I tell him? And what's his reaction going to be? Is he going to be like, oh, okay? And you'd be really surprised because some people will be like, oh, okay, no problems. Because they either know someone who has lupus, have dealt with lupus before, and they're like okay with it. Or they see that you can handle it, so they're like, okay, cool. Like, do you need anything? I'll come help. I'll come do whatever, right? And some people will be nervous, and on the first plane packing, they either also have known someone who has lupus and maybe died from it, or someone who's going through it and is always sick and it's really hard and complicated. And some people just know themselves and they're not ready for that, or ready to be in that position, or ready to deal with someone with a chronic illness. So they will let you know, like, hey, it was nice to meet you. I can't handle this. And that sounds so mean, but to be honest, that's the best way to go. If someone knows they can't handle it, I'd rather them tell me early enough on so I don't invest and get my feelings into it, and then they encounter a flare-up with me and then they can't handle it, and I'm already feeling sick, and now I'm stressed and sad and all this because you can't handle it and you're no longer in the picture. So I'd rather you be honest with me and honest with yourself and say, like, I can't handle this, and keep it moving, right? So that's another thing. If they do react that way, like, yeah, it sucks and we're human, so it's probably gonna hurt a little bit, but like, let them go, because they know themselves and they're not gonna be good to you going down the line when you really need them, when you're in pain, when you're going through something. I've had that happen to me a couple times where I met a guy, everything was great, vibing, he was feeling me, I was feeling him, and told him I had lupus, and it was peace out. But later on, like, growing up, I see now that was a blessing in disguise, because why would I want someone who couldn't handle what I go through? I can handle it, but I need someone who also can handle it while it's happening. So, yeah, people react different ways. But going back to the situation that I had, so I decided that I was going to tell the guy. I was just going to be like, you know what? I'm grown and this is who I am. Let me just tell him. So I told him on our second date that I was in the hospital because I have lupus and I had a flare-up. He said to me, just as before, I asked you, do you want me to bring you anything? Which hospital are you? I can bring it. And he sure enough did bring me food in the hospital. He stayed and talked to me all night until I was able to fall asleep. He was there. I mean, it was really, really nice. It was really, really compassionate and everything. I mean, very nice person. We're definitely not together now or anything, but that is the reaction that you want. That's like the best thing to happen, right? Like, oh my gosh, I have this thing, and the person's like, oh, okay, cool, let's handle it. You know, that's what you look for. It's not always what happens. Even when it does happen, like it happened for me, that doesn't mean that person's like the one. So a lot of times with lupus, that's also hard. So because you go through flare-ups, you go through things, things happen, when someone is willing to be selfless and like take that on with you, it almost like feels so good that it's like, oh, this is too good to be true. He must be the one, or she must be it, because this person can handle this with me. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's just really nice people out there who will help you in your time of need. That doesn't mean you need to go and wife them up right away, or that's your husband. Like, still go through the motions of dating even when that happens. It just throws a monkey wrench in the situation, and you just see how they handle it. So back to what I was saying, lupus always creates a ripple in the river, like throwing a little pebble and then the ripples start. And no one really will understand. You can tell someone who you're dating, like, oh yeah, I have this thing, but until they actually experience your first flare up with you, they won't get it. Also, let's say you're in remission and you're not getting flare ups. Most lupus patients who've actually gone through like the bulk of having lupus have one big one, multiple ones, little ones here and there, maybe one small one, but they have scars. Scars are everywhere. I mean, from the butterfly rash that you might get on your face, from dialysis ports and chemo ports, and IV sticks, and just different scarrings, different surgeries. Some people have had hip replacements, some people have had kidney surgery, some people have had, there's a number of things, lung transplants, anything you could think of, and all that is scarring. It's scarring to your body. When you have your clothes on, yeah, you can't see that. But let's say you and your boo have been dating for a while or whatever, and it's summertime, you guys are going on a date and you want to wear a certain dress, and that dress just happens to be like cut open on the sides, and that just happens to be where your scars are, but that's your favorite dress. So do you not wear the dress because you're scared of this person seeing your scars? No, you wear the dress, and then the person's like, oh, what's that? Then you have to explain it. And then if another scar comes, oh, what's that? Then you have to explain it. Myself have multiple scars. I've had multiple surgeries, as I've talked about in my previous videos, and they're everywhere. I get questions all the time. What's this scar? What's this scar? What's that? Even my own, one of my biggest surgeries was from my belly button cut all the way down. So my belly button is not exactly round and in the middle. It's kind of shifted, and it's a little bit wavy. So it's a little bit off, you know? But as long as you love yourself and you're confident about yourself, your scars shouldn't matter. And honestly, it might take you a while to get through this, but like, the person who dates you and really likes you won't care about them. They'll get over them. They might ask some questions, but they won't care. It still will be detrimental for you as a patient, because you're like, oh, I don't want to show that. Oh, that's my worst feature. Oh, I don't like my arms because I have this huge fistula in there, or I have this, you know, laceration from surgery that's going down the middle of my arm and gives me turkey wings and all this. But it starts with you feeling comfortable about you and your scars, and loving you and all of your scars, because your scars are your journey. And then when you meet someone and you're dating them, this is you. You have to be raw and uncut, especially when you have lupus. Like, what can you do? You can't get your scars removed. I mean, the most you might be able to do is put a tattoo over it, but even then, you know, your scars are you. Your scars are your journey. You should just be proud of them. And if a question comes up, or if someone sees them and they want to know more, tell them. And if someone sees them and doesn't like them, that's not the one you should be dating. It took me a while to figure that out. It took me a while to be able to handle that, because I have so many scars, and people were like, well, what's that? Or especially when I was on dialysis, that was crazy. I first had a permacalf up here, which I shared in my other video. And when I had that, I'm the type of patient that if I'm not in the hospital, I'm living my life. Like, I gotta live. So I'm going to do the things I want to do, which is hang out with my friends and stuff. Definitely anything, you know, that's extracurricular, like flying or something like that, I check with my doctor, of course. But I'm still going to live my life. I'm going to go out to brunches. I'm going to hang out with my friends. I'm going to do what I do. And I'm going to look cute while I do it, right? So if I want to wear, you know, a shirt that's off the shoulder, I just figure out a way to cover it, whether it's with my hair or whether it's with, you know, putting it to the other side or doing anything like that. My scar right here is here. And if I'm wearing a spaghetti strap, I will probably flip my hair over it or whatever. But if it does get exposed, oh well, right? In the beginning, I was really self-conscious about my scars, and I would always try to cover them, especially when going out and trying to meet someone new for the first time. I'm like, oh, I don't want to explain this to him or to this new friend I met or a girl or whatever. I just don't want to explain anything to anyone, or I don't want to look at me like I have something that's contagious. But it's all part of being confident. And when you're dating, you have to be confident, especially the confidence that exudes through to other people, because you know you have this, and you know you're wearing those scars on your body, and you're wearing those things, and sometimes you're getting sick and sometimes you're feeling weak. But if you're confident that you know you are this person and you're this badass lupus patient, you gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, when I am on a date, I affirm myself before I go. I'm like, I look in my mirror after I finish doing my hair and stuff, and I'm like, you are beautiful. You've been through this, that, this, and this, and you are still gorgeous. And then I go on my date, and I am confident, and I am ready to go. And I dare someone to tell me I'm not beautiful and gorgeous and strong and independent and all the things that I just told myself in the mirror. And sometimes that's what you have to do, because lupus can really tear you down. Not only the feeling of feeling sick and sad and weak and all that, but like when you're going out and something doesn't fit you the right way, or you can't wear a crop top because you're scared to show your scars and things like that, you have to be confident. There is someone out there for everybody, whether it's just a partner that you want to date and like do fun things with, or whether it's your person who you're going to potentially marry in the future. They're going to love everything about you. They're going to love hanging out with you. They're going to love what you look like. They're going to love your scars. They're going to love all that. It's still tough though. So as a lupus patient, you just have to like mentally prepare yourself for whatever could happen on that date and run with it. It's not always going to be the best outcome. Like I said, I've had multiple times where people find out. They might even find out in the middle of the date, and we might have had plans to go to dinner and a movie, and at dinner they find out I have lupus. Then all of a sudden some magic emergency happens and they can't finish the date, you know? And it happens and it sucks, but it's better that you find out. It's better that you know now that this person couldn't handle that, and this person couldn't handle being with you in that type of relationship. For me, in my experience, the best type of relationships while having lupus is someone who you already know, or someone who's already your friend. I know that sounds so cliche, and it's like, yeah, duh. But the reason why that works so well is because they probably already know you, and they probably have already seen you go through things. They already know your issues and your disease. They already have been there with you, so nothing kind of surprises them. They can kind of ease into that with you, and they're not going to be like, oh, this is brand new, oh, this is whatever, because they're already friends with you, and they know how strong you are. They know you can handle it. They know what you go through. So those would be my top pick relationships. People who were like your friends or knew you, someone who had a secret crush on you and never told you, but they still like were around through all your flare-ups and all that stuff. Those are like the best ones, because you don't have to do a lot of explaining. You don't have to feel self-conscious. You already know this person. They already know you, and everything is what it is. Like, they just know, and you just know, and it's just magic. So I like those relationships. I think those foster into things and really develop and mature into things, because you already have that foundation, and the lupus doesn't really get in the way, and they're willing to jump in, be there for you, support you, whatever the case may be. But it is rough, especially if you have ever had your lupus do something to you that you weren't even aware could happen. Prime example is what I would say for my second serious relationship. He hadn't really seen a huge flare up or like anything that could like that was like really, really serious. So my first like serious flare up while he was around was pretty scary. It was at his house. We were chilling at his house. His parents were home. And I passed out. I don't even remember passing out. I think I was having a little pain, but I didn't want to say anything. It was like joint pain and stuff. And I started getting this pounding headache, and I started feeling cold. And I was just like, not feeling that well. Maybe I should go home. He's like, no, you're fine. Like, we're gonna get something to eat. Like, my mom's making something to eat. Like, just chill out. So I tried to like tough it out because I didn't want him to know anything was wrong. And next thing I know, I'm waking up, and they're on the phone like calling 911, and I'm like, no, I'm okay. Like, I swear I'm okay. Like, it's okay. Just tell them don't come. I didn't even know I had passed out. And I believe, because I remember before I passed out, like, he was telling me it was okay. We were watching something, and like we started making out. I mean, we're young. We started making out. His parents were like in their room or something, and then I passed out. So I think it was really hard for him to explain, because his mom was like, well, what were you guys doing before? And what did you do to her? And blah, blah, blah. And like, he didn't want to say, well, we were making out in the living room, whatever. Like, it was just so weird and awkward, and he was freaked out. I was freaked out because I didn't even know what happened. Like, I had no recollection of me passing out at all, which is crazy. But so he wasn't scared that I had lupus. He wasn't, you know, any of that. It was when I had my first flare up in front of him, around him, that like really scared him. So then after that, we had to have a whole like talk about like what could happen and what he should be, you know, aware of, and you know, on days that I don't feel good, what can he do? And it was just, and at that time, like, it's very hard to explain to someone, because you can be fine 1 minute and not fine the next. And you know your body, and you know your remedies, and you know how to fix that, but to tell someone else how to do it is kind of hard, especially when it's not in the moment. Like, I don't know what to tell you to do when I pass out. I you know, like, how many times have I passed out in my lifetime? Maybe 2. I don't know. Don't even remember, you know? So it's hard to like coach someone on, here's the things that you need to do. I mean, if you know, and you have maybe like a flare-up survival kit, like, here, if I do this, wave some ammonia, or if I, you know, have joint pain, elevate my legs or something. I think that would be really cool, like, to just have an emergency flare-up kit. That would be really nice to have. But everyone's symptoms are different, so you'd have to make your own. Inflammation just happened randomly on a date before, where I was wearing heels, and my feet started to swell, and I couldn't get my foot in the heel, so I had to take them off during the date. It was so embarrassing. But the date understood. I'm pretty sure he didn't call me back because he probably thought I was nasty, walking the floor barefoot. But I had no options. Like, my feet were like elephants. They were so big. I've had rash breakouts during a date before, and I think the person just thought it was an allergic reaction, but I don't even know what it was. I don't think it was an allergic reaction, because I did get medical care, but I think it had to do something with a flare-up. Maybe it was to medication or something. I don't know. But it was pretty bad. But you just have to go with the flow. Dates will be dates. and what's meant to happen will happen. A lot of experiences with dating with lupus, and it's not easy. It's definitely not the easiest thing, especially in the early stages of dating. Like I said, during that uncertain time when you're like, oh, should I tell them, should I not? Because you're so used to doing everything by yourself, and or having a family member or whatever support you. But when you're talking to someone, you start to develop feelings for them, and the relationship starts to cultivate. So when you do have a flare up, you do want them to know about it. You do want them to want to come by and hold your hand, or rub your back or whatever. And asking them or telling them for the first time, or them seeing you a certain way. Because I know when I have flare-ups, or when I'm in the hospital, or whenever, I try to look my best, but that is not the best time for me. You just look tired. You look weak. Some people have a hard time seeing you with all your tubes and stuff in, and getting medications, and getting shots, and needles stuck in you, and all these things. I know one of my things right now, because I'm 33, I want to have kids. And that's another topic that I will get to later, but like I've been told so many times I can't have kids. And when you're in your 30s, you start thinking, well, women do, start thinking about like long-term dating. So this next boyfriend is going to be my husband, or a potential husband. I'm not just dating him to date him like I was when I was 21, So those things cross your mind, and you're like, oh, I'm dating him, he likes me, what if he wants a family and I can't do that? Or what if, whatever. So a lot of things play into your illness when you're thinking of someone long term. But these are all things you can discuss once you guys get to that point. Never hide anything. Never feel like you're bringing up something too soon, because if it's a concern for you, it's a concern for a reason. And like I said, if that person really likes you, they'll stay with you no matter what. The disease is not going to faze them. So my advice for dating with lupus is being confident, a lot of self-affirmation, and knowing that even if there's someone out there for everyone, and even if you're dating and that person cannot handle what you're going through, count it as a blessing and move on to the next one, because you don't want someone who can't handle it with you. You don't want someone who can't go through it with you. You don't want someone who can't be strong with you. It is a tough disease, and it can get the best of you sometimes, and you just need, and I've always said this, you need support. So whether that's family, friends, the person you're dating, you need support. So choose wisely. Don't not go on dates, okay? Because you're cute, you're sexy, you're everything. You need to be out there. If you need to be going on dates. If you want to date and find the right one, go on dates. It's not a bad thing. You're just getting to know someone, Don't think that you don't deserve to date people just because you're going through this, or that you can't date people because you're going through this. You're not doing them a disservice because you have lupus, or any autoimmune disease. You're not doing them a disservice. People make their own decisions and their own choices. So yes, definitely tell them. And there's no good time, bad time. There's no right or wrong answer to when you tell them. You have to do it in your own time. I suggest sooner than later, but do what you got to do, and do it how you want to do it. Because at the end of the day, you didn't ask for this disease. You have it, and you still need to live your best life.